Okay, so let's get back to this healing at rifts thing that Drogos is interested about. So for the most part, when you're healing at rifts, what you're going to be doing is sacrificing favor to an altar. In my opinion, that would be the most cost-effective, efficient way of getting your favor back. And they recently made a change so that sacrificing is now a 15-second cast timer instead of 30. And so the time to sacrifice is cut, making you ready more quickly to cast your heal spells. Normally, the healing occurs at a rift inside the penned off area that is constructed, right? So people are out there fighting at the rift, and when their health goes down, they run to the gated area where the foe priests are there. And what the foe priests are doing is that they're sacrificing to the altar and casting heal on everybody. And when there's like a big heal that needs to happen, like a light of foe gets cast, which is the area of effect heals everybody. Okay, so part of getting ready for that is making a ton of favor items for sacrificing. So if you're a foe priest, there's two main options I would say that are good for creating sacrificing material. One of them is sheets of cloth, not sheets of cloth, square pieces of cloth. So square pieces of cloth. That's weird. Nightbot flagged that for some reason, but okay. So yeah, square pieces of cloth give you double favor as a priest, as a full priest. And so quality for quality, it'll give you the same amount of favor as a cordage rope. Now, cordage rope is the other option if you want to get your rope making skill up. Cordage rope, in my opinion, is the best sacrificing material in the game. And although Seppuku's gonna disagree with me on this one, I think, because unless you're Libela, right? If you're Libela, it might be better to use animal bits. I almost guarantee you that at every rift there will be an altar. And if there's not an altar, I would recommend bringing materials to create an altar. Okay, so it's worth it to have an altar there, to sacrifice material, because, and while you're right, gems are good, they are way more valuable than favor items. So that's the first thing. They're way more valuable. So to collect enough gems to be prepared is hard. Plus, when you use gems for storing favor to use in a battle situation, it uses almost the whole gem in one shot. And so like a high quality gem, which like let's say you have a 90 quality gem, if you did the strategy I showed you, you could actually get like 15 or 16 casts, potentially 15 or 16, or even more skill ticks from that one gem, and that's valuable. Whereas if you go to store a massive amount of favor into that gem, you're going to use it all in one shot, right? You're going to use the gem, it's going to completely destroy, and you've lost the ability to channel grind on it now. And while it's maybe in a pinch, like somebody is going to die if I don't cast heal on them right now and I don't have favor, regenning your favor with a gem and casting might save that person's life, sure. But if you have a setup where you have lots of favor items and an altar sitting there, it takes 15 seconds to sacrifice to get that favor. So it's not instant, but it's 15 seconds. But you're using the favor items you were prepared, which are much lower in value, right? Like, I'll show you what it takes, like how many of these ropes it takes to fill your bar. It's not many. It might be, of the higher quality ones I've made, I might put in 4 cordage ropes, right? So compare the value of 4 cordage ropes to a 90 quality gem. Right? So you would use the gem in a pinch if you're willing to, that value, like you're willing to use up that value that's in that the gem had. Like, a 90 quality gem, you could sell it to somebody for a good amount of money, right? Like, if you get market value, which is approximately 1.5 copper per quality, you're getting like 1.5 silver almost from that thing. Like that's the value of that, 1.5 silver. Whereas I'd probably put 1 silver per 1,000 favor in sacrificing materials on the old servers, or maybe a little bit less than that, but somewhere in that vicinity. 1 silver per 1,000 favor. Right? That's 1,000 favor is a lot compared to the 90 favor that you're able to store, and you might get 180 back. Right? So again, it's one of these things where if you're rich enough and have a lot of gems and you want to you just want instant casts, then to prepare, what you're going to do is you're going to fill up your favor bar to as much as you can, and then cast Vessel on the highest quality gems that you have, and it's going to store all the favor that you have into that gem in one shot. That favor is going to be brimming with power, and then you could use that favor to fill up your bar probably multiple times. Oh, what am I doing here? I'm not casting. Okay, so 134 cordage rope will give you 3 favor. Okay, so the lower quality ones, like the 34 ones that I have here, are low favor, but they don't increase linearly. So that means that a 60 or 70 quality won't be double that, but rather, let's see, I got some 63, not that many, but 63, and I can show you how you can check. If you pull it out into your inventory, oh, I'm too far away from it. Okay, let's grab one of these. If you right-click the cordage rope and you go to prices and choose get price, okay, you think Venora will give you 10 favor. Okay, so a 63 will give you 10. I know a 70 gives you like 15 or 14 or something like that. The higher it gets, the more it'll increase. And it increases in a quadratic way. I don't know if you guys know what quadratic is, but it's an x squared function. So it increases it's a curved increase. So at the higher levels, a small increase in quality drastically will increase the amount of favor it gives you. Okay, but all the low quality stuff, like I think anywhere between 1 and 30 is going to give you practically nothing. Like somewhere between, like a 20 quality cordage gives you about 1. A 30 quality cordage gives you about 3. Yeah, you can get used to what those are. Yeah. Quadratic is Aquaman's Tinder profile. Yeah, cordage gives good favor. Are you sure that an 81 quality brick gives you 16 favor? Are you sure about that? I never believed that bricks were one of those items that give good favor. Okay, so you're good. Okay. Is that for a mag priest? Or is that for any priest? Okay, you've been grinding locksmithing on your mag priest, but you think you might switch to rope making? I feel as though you might want to consider sticking with locksmithing if you're a mag. And I'll tell you why. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Lock making is one of those things that is close to... Okay, so I never told you why I think Portage is really the best. It's not because of the amount of favor it gives you. It's because of the amount of work it takes to make a cordage rope. Okay, so let's compare this with square pieces of cloth, which is what would be for foes double. And we can then compare it to locks for mags. Okay, because all of these, quality for quality, will give you the same amount of favor. So a 70 quality lock will give the same amount of favor to a mag priest as a 70 quality cordage rope. Okay, so that quality for quality, it's the same. Because mags get double favor from the locks, from any metal item, and cordage kind of is that special thing that gives double favor for everybody. It's like just embedded in the fact that it's cordage, gives double favor. Okay, and then cloth items are double favor for foe. Okay, so if quality for quality it gives you the same favor, then there's a few things to consider when choosing what is the right favor item for you. Okay, the number one, in my opinion, the number one thing that you should be thinking about is how hard is it for me to get those items. Like how much effort is it to get a 60 quality cordage versus getting a 60 quality lock. Okay, now when you compare them pound for pound in this way between locks and cordage, it is so much easier to get a high quality lock than it is to get a high quality cordage. Cordage has a really high difficulty associated with it, so it requires you to have really high rope making skill in order to get decent quality ropes. Okay, so I'm going to just open up my bins here and I'm going to show you what I mean by this. Okay, so I spend a lot of time just pumping through ropes. Okay, and here's the distribution. So I did a massive rope making session just the other day, and I had empty bins on the 50 quality ones. Let's just cordage. Okay, so in my 50 quality bin, I had 0. Okay, so I basically spammed 50 quality WEMP into ropes until I got 150 quality ropes. Now, the 40 quality ropes went up to 90, so that was also at 0. So it went from 0 to 90. And the 30 quality ones, I think I had some in there. I might have had 50 or something like that in there. And then this bin had maybe 200. So I got 500 cordage ropes that were like literally useless. Like if you take a look at how much favor this gives, a 14 quality rope, get price. You think Venora would not provide much favor for sacrifice in this. So to get a good idea of how much favor each one is, I'm going to bring 10 into my inventory. I'm going to combine them into a single rope, and I'm going to see how much 10 would have given me. 10 gives me about 5. So each one is about half. I would need 10 of these to get 5 favor. Okay, so when you're creating ropes, you're going to create a lot that don't give very much favor. Okay, now you compare this with lock making, and if you've done locks, if you've been working on locks, you kind of know that you're going to get a better result than what I'm showing you here with locks, right? Locks are far easier to make in terms of like the outcome of the lock when you make it is going to be higher quality more often than lower quality. Yeah, so but Sipiku, it's not exactly that way because a cordage rope gives double that of a door lock. Right? So a 70 quality cordage rope and a 70 quality door lock, the cordage rope will give you double that of a door lock. So if a mag priest uses the door lock, because mags get double favor for metal items, they'll get the same amount as a cordage rope. Okay, so they're, yeah. So I made 1,000 cordage rope, and 70% of them are trash. Yeah, so it is a grind. Now I know that this is a bad result. Okay, so, but what I also know is what this result looks like when you get to 90 rope making or above. And things look way better there. So, and that's what my main goal is, right? Because once you can get your rope maker up to 90 or above and you use a high quality rope tool, this distribution changes drastically. And if your WEMP is higher quality, you start seeing some things that are crazy. Like when I'm doing this on the old servers, because I do have a 95 rope maker with a 95 quality rare or supreme rope tool that has the imbues that increase rope making on it, right? So you start stacking all these bonuses. And when I'm crafting the ropes now, the average is 70. Okay, the average is 70. So now I can make 1,000 ropes and the average is 70. So if I were to throw them all into a bin, I'd have 1,070. Now, as I said, as you increase the quality of the ropes, you increase the amount of favor by a lot. So instead, I separate them and I get a whole bunch in the 90 quality range. And each of those 90 qualities is like 20 plus favor each, right? And I get a good amount of them. Like I'll get 100 out of the 1,000 that I make. I'll get 100 that are 90 quality or above. And it just, yeah, it pays off in the long run, rope making. And it's, yeah. So when you get to the top level like that, what level rope making was I when I was doing that and getting like that amount? Yeah, I'm at like 95 rope making, something in that range, right? And how many years did I take it? Personally, first of all, I'm Adam. Brian is the one who's not here today. But how long did it take me to get there? I don't know. Honestly, I never. How do I put this? Now, okay. First off, that tune was originally not my tune. It was somebody's who I was playing with, and I knew in real life, so it was real life friend. And that person quit the game. And I inherited that character, and they were at the time 70 rope making. They probably got to 70 rope making 3 months, which is about right because my guy got to 60 rope making on this server, and hasn't been my main focus by far, but I got to 60, and it's been 3 months now. Okay, so you can get your rope making up to 70-ish if you're like working on it somewhat in like 3 months time. And the ropes to get from 70 to 95, the method I use, I started by just imping net traps because at the time that was all that was available. So I was imping net traps and I got into 80, maybe in the low 80s. That didn't take too long though. Maybe another few weeks of grinding, and then I just started making ropes, and from there all the skill gain from 80-ish to 95 was all from making ropes. Now you got to remember, or you got to keep in mind, I made a lot of ropes, like a lot of ropes. So I would buy 30,000 WEMP and turn it all into ropes, and then I would buy another 30,000 WEMP and I would turn all that into ropes, and I would just keep doing that. Now, obviously, I'm not doing that for skill gain. I'm doing that so that my favor bin gets filled, and I'm doing it for channeling, really, and also for getting high quality casts and being able to cast just as much as I possibly want. Okay, so yeah, this is on the old server. So it definitely takes time. I'm not going to say that it's not time, but it's like the time invested in grinding was very short in comparison to the time I spent what I would consider using that skill for what I wanted to use it for. Okay, so I wanted to spend time casting. That's what my main focus was for a long period of time. And I would sit there and I just sacrifice and cast and sacrifice and cast. And this would be my play session for like tons of time. And I was motivated to do it, not because I was grinding channeling either. It was so that I could amass a large quantity of enchanted items that were all high quality, and so I would and I was selling my services, so I would get a customer who has their 95 quality supreme pickaxe and they want 95 circle of cunning and 90 wind of ages, and I would just spend just that one item would take hundreds and hundreds of casts to get it right. And so I would need tons of favor. So I'd spend tons of time just building up the amount of favor I have. Like if you look in my bins right now on the old server, I still have over 20,000 WEMP sitting there, and probably 70 or maybe it's 50,000 favor in the bins of cordage rope. Like it's just insane how much cordage rope I go through. And at the end game, when you're there, it's like you look at this situation and you know, like, this situation is not going to last like this for a long time. You know, like there'll come a point where I will be able to produce more in the 50 quality bin, and then I'll have a 60 quality bin, a 70 quality bin, and an 80 quality bin, and a 90 quality bin that are all amassing large quantities of cordage rope. So now back to the locks versus cordage rope conversation. If you're a mag priest, you're going to get, like, if your locksmithing is probably in the 40s or 50s, like, it doesn't have to be that high, you will get a way, way better distribution of lock quality than you're seeing here. And probably it will feel closer to what it looks like when you're a 90 rope maker at 40 locksmithing. Okay, so the amount of effort it takes to get to 40 locksmithing, I think, is a lot less than the effort it takes to get to 90 plus rope making. And you're going to see the outcome far earlier of getting higher quality materials for sacrificing. Now, oh, did my battery just ran out? I felt like I charged this thing last night. I guess I did not. I'll plug it in. Okay. So yeah. Now, the other thing to consider, and I'll answer, I see a whole bunch of questions in here, and I'll come back and answer them in a second, but the other thing to consider is not only the effort it takes to get the qualities that you want, but also the number of actions it takes to create a single item. So when I ask, like, how many actions does it take to create a single cordage rope? Well, you need one WEMP. That'll create one cordage rope. And when you farm, right, one farming action gives you, right now it's currently giving my priest 6 to 8 or maybe 9. So let's say on average it's like 7-ish WEMP. So one action gives me 7 WEMP, and then it's one action to turn that WEMP into a cordage. Okay, so that's, I would say, less than 2 actions. In fact, it's just over 1 action per cordage rope on average. Now for a mag priest making locks, 1 action to mine, and then you have to smelt it. I don't count that as an action because you can be mining at the same time as smelting, right? So you're mining, and smelting at the same time. So 1 action for the mining, and then that lump gives you 2 locks. As long as you don't fail, right? That lump gives you 2 locks. 1 action, right? I'm not counting the farming actions that you do, because you could literally plant. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So there's 1 action to sow the seed, and there's 1 action to harvest the seed, harvest the WEMP. But that harvesting could give you 7 WEMP. So it's still less than 1 action per WEMP, right? 2 actions give you 7 WEMP. So that's less than 1 action per WEMP. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It's like somewhere in there. So it's like 1 and a bit actions to get a cordage rope, and it's going to be 1.5 actions to get a lock. Okay, so those are in the same-ish vicinity. Compare that to, okay, but the time to turn the WEMP into seed, though. Right? When I'm talking about actions, like, I'm talking about the time it takes. Right? So you can take a stack of 60 WEMP and turn them all into seeds in an instant. So I don't count that as an action. Okay, we're talking about effort here and the time it takes, right? 1 action to log in. I know exactly. Okay, so with mining, you mine once, you have to smelt it, but you can keep mining. And then there's 1 action to get the ore, and then you can make 2 locks from that. So each lock takes 1.5 actions. Now, going over to faux priests and their sheets. So you need to farm to get the cotton. So let's just call that a bit of an action or whatever. And then you have to then take that cotton and turn it into string. Okay. And it takes, so 3 strings will make 2 square pieces of cloth. I think that's the ratio, right? 3 strings make 2 pieces of cloth. Let me think about that. Yeah. Okay, so You got to make the string, and then you got to make the cloth. The act of making those strings increases the number of actions to above 2. It's going to be above 2 actions per square piece of cloth. Okay, so that's going to be about double the amount of time to create a piece of cloth compared to a cordage rope. Okay, so in the same amount of time, you get half the amount of cordage, square pieces of cloth. So when it comes to deciding which favor item that you want to do, it's like this plays a big factor. Venora gets shafted in this deal because their best item for creating and getting double favor for, because Venora gets wooden items, and the only one that I know of, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there's another one that I don't know of, but the only wooden item that I know that is worthwhile making for favor for foe is yo-yos. Is there a better one? I've heard torches, but I've never tested torches. Tested yo-yos. All hail the yo-yo. Now yo-yos are much harder to make, right? Because you need the wood cutting skill, so you need to chop the tree down, and then you need to make the shaft from the logs after you chopped up all the logs. And then what goes into a yo-yo? Let's take a look at yo-yo. Yo-yo. Okay. Then you need to get the cotton for the strings of cloth, right? So you got the cotton making strings of cloth, and then you got the cutting the wood to make the logs to make the shafts, right? Like, count up the actions. You're even just if it was one action for the shaft and one action for the string and then one more action for creating the yo-yo, that's 3 actions right there. Not to mention all the time you need to take to harvest these items, right? So that's 3 times as long as it takes to make one cordage rope. Okay, so these are the things that you should consider when choosing which item you're going to make. Now, I've heard torches. Torches. Let's look at torches. Not torches. What am I thinking of? Am I thinking of yeah, torches. These torches. Tar and shaft. And moss. Okay, tar, shaft, and moss. So 2 digging actions. Although you might get more torches out of 1 piece of moss. I'm not sure the ratio there. But yeah, even so, that still feels not good. Yeah, it's the worst sacrifice. Yeah, pottery brick all the way. Yeah. So now Weeby is talking about bricks. I've never actually heard of bricks being used for favor. I'm gonna have to do some experiments here with bricks. Let me just see over here because I have some bricks that are low quality. Yeah, 11 quality. That's not gonna. I'll have to do some experimentation with bricks. Can I know what I can do. I can try to grab as many bricks as I can hold, combine them. No, I can't combine them. Can't combine bricks. Okay, so I can see, though, high quality bricks working. And pottery bricks actually sounds interesting as an idea because, well, there's 1 digging action. Gives you 1 clay. But see, you're gonna need a bunch of clay to make 1 brick, right? Like, let's look at the Wurmpedia here. Right. Okay. So 1 pottery brick is 5 kilograms of clay, and 1 digging action only gives you 2 kilograms of clay. So you're gonna need 2.5 digging actions plus an action to turn that into a brick. So you're already at 4.5 digging actions per brick. So whereas burn it. I'm gonna remove that from the steps, and the reason I remove it is because you could be burning it while you're making more bricks, right? So you can keep making more bricks and then toss them into the kiln and keep making more bricks, and you're not stopping the process of making the bricks. And all the while, the burning action's happening in the background, and it's going to happen at the same time. So that doesn't add more time, in my opinion. But what about regular bricks, like stone bricks? right? So a stone brick will require one mining action and then one action to put it into a brick. And what's interesting about bricks is that, or stone shards rather, is that you tend to have lots of extra stone shards just from doing what you're doing. So it might be that you're already sitting on a BSB filled with stone bricks somewhere, where we have 261 stone bricks here, or stone shards. I mean, we have 500 more stone shards here. They're just sitting here due to the fact that we just did them. And if instead of just dumping them all into one bulk storage bin, you spend the time to separate their qualities so that all the high quality ones just end up in a big bin, it might actually work out that you can just stand in front of that bin and just cut high quality bricks out of it and use that for sacrificing. That's an interesting idea. You're right, you don't find high quality shards all the time. But if you have a major mining project and you're going to get thousands of stone shards anyway, it might pay off to just separate the high qualities into a bin just so that you can do the one action to get the stone brick that's high quality, and that gives you favor that's good. I'd have to look at how much favor you get. It is worth testing, I definitely agree.